let's talk about the record, the standing, because just a tick less than a third of the way this week. After this week, a lot of the teams will have 6 games.
Yeah.
What's your biggest surprise?
Well, BC being as good as they are, we questioned it going into week 1, but then they answered all our questions. But BC being as dominant as they are and replacing just a most outstanding Canadian as quickly as they did. Toronto, I am somewhat surprised that Toronto is looking as good as they are, because I thought that they won the game but weren't the best team in the CFL when they won the Grey Cup. And there's really no other surprises. We know who Hamilton is. Sask and Calgary are kind of going to be there, and you just got to figure out the right week. So not a ton of surprises. Montreal is still in second place. I had them to win the Grey Cup this year. So, Ottawa's 2-3. I mean, a lot of 2-3s. We got an 0-6, and then we got 2-3, 3-2, and then, BC, Toronto, and Winnipeg.
Another thing that isn't going to be surprising is the week we're going to start talking about crossover, because it's happening. You could see it. You could see that the West is better than the East. And it's going to end up being that way.
Well, we're talking about crossover, from the West to the East. It doesn't look like it's going to be Sask. Calgary would be the team in Edmonton we're not even talking about in the playoffs. I think our crossover at this point might be East into the West. I think we could see Hamilton or Ottawa crossover, be playing either BC or Winnipeg in the playoffs.
That'll be just a few months before we start doing that. It is, without a doubt, to me, one of the coolest aspects. And a lot of the professional leagues have changed playoff stuff over the last few years, whether it's, wild card, Major League Baseball's done some stuff, the NFL's done some stuff, college is changing all the time, but none of them hop over to the other league.
No, they don't. And it's just a fun wrinkle. And, as a casual fan, you probably don't care. Ooh, look, it's football, July. I got the green guys.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so Sunday night, Game 4, last game of the weekend, 7 o'clock Eastern, Ottawa at Calgary, 44 minus 5.5.
Our record betting on or against just any game having to do with Calgary is 5-0. We have not lost when we're betting on a Calgary game this year. We've won 2. We've been on them twice to win. They've done it as dog outrights twice, and we've been against them 3 times, and we've won on the opposing team. So I think it's fair to say we know this team pretty well. Calgary just won a game in the final moments. It was thrilling. It was great, but they shouldn't have been in that position. I'm looking at Ottawa with a quarterback that is very difficult to game plan for. There's a real question mark. Do they struggle to adjust coming off of that high of beating Winnipeg? Because that's a big game. That's a rush the field kind of game. That's Appalachian State taking down Michigan. That's the beginning of their learnings how to become a competitive team. I don't know, but I do know that Calgary is better on the road than they are at home. And again, in moments of uncertainty, we're going to take the points. I'm taking the points, and I'm taking Ottawa. I like that unpredictable style, and their defense is scrappy, and I think this is close, and I think it's going to be low scoring, and we're going to take points here.
Yeah, so here's some of the notes I got from going through the data. It's the lowest spread of the weekend for a reason, okay? What does Ottawa do beating Winnipeg? That's a legitimate thing, but Cal, 2-9. Against the spread in their last 11 at home. That's 11. That's at home. We're in week 7, so the most you played at home this year would be 3 if you played them all. And that means that's 3 of those 11. That's 8 going back halfway through last year.
If you look at all the games in the line movement from the time I texted it to you until now, this game was the lowest spread. And it had dramatic movement. And if you try and guess or interpret what people are doing in this game, the public is scared. I mean, they're wanting to lay a lesser amount of points, and they're calling BS on Ottawa for sure. But they're wanting to lay the 4.5 or the 5.5. I mean, they wanted to lay 4.5, which is what made it 5.5, and take Calgary. If you look at the Winnipeg and Edmonton game, the money's pouring in on Edmonton. It went from 16.5 down to 15 flat because people want to take 16 points. Oh my God. And I'm reading that. I'm not scared of laying the points where we need to. But in this close game, the shortest spread of the week, I think that we're going to get a dog outright.